Okay, so for the second part of section 7.3, this is where we're going to talk about basic probability principle. So, with that said, we let S represent the sample space of equally likely outcomes, and E is an event that is a subset of S. So the probability that event E would occur would be, and we usually denote probability with a capital P, and then we write in parentheses the event. So the probability of the event occurring is the number of times that that event can occur over the number of possible outcomes within the sample space itself. So N of E over N of S. So for example, if we roll a single fair die, okay, we have to include the word fairs. We don't want loaded dice. We don't want cheaters. So S, our sample space of that six-sided fair die would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, because our sample space contains six different outcomes, N of S would be equal to 6. So now they're going to ask us to give the probability of different events. So the probability that the die shows an even number. Okay. Well, with that said, in this case, our event would be the set of 2, 4, and 6. So notice how many outcomes are here in this subset? Well, there's 3. So our N of E would be equal to 3. So the probability of E in this case would be the number of possible events, 3 over 6. And that would simplify to 1/2. Okay. Now, for F, it says that the die shows a number less than 10. Okay. So in this case, we know that F, well, all numbers. So F would be everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So therefore, N of F would be 6. So the probability of F would be 6 over 6, which is 1. Okay. Now, for G, the die shows an 8. Okay. Well, G in this case, there's no 8 on a die. So G represents the empty set. So therefore, N of G would be equal to 0. So the probability of G occurring would be 0 over 6, which is equal to 0. Now, with that said, basic probability tells us that for any event E, the probability of E is always going to be between 0 and 1. The probability of E is always between 0 and 1, where 0 represents that it can't happen, and 1 represents that it will happen. So all probabilities fall between 0 and 1. Okay. Now, with that said, sometimes instead of thinking about probability in theory, we might think about empirical probability. So empirical probability are probabilities that are based on past experiences. So it's something that happened in the past. So on page 307, they give you a table where it talks about injuries in the United States associated with different recreation equipment. So playing equipment. So for example, injuries from bicycles, skateboards, trampolines, playgrounds, swings or swing sets. So based on the table from page 307, they want you to find the probability that a selected person who was injured would have been injured on a trampoline. So find the probability of a trampoline. Okay? So to find this probability, we look at what was the number, and I'm going to abbreviate this as T, the number of trampoline injuries over the number of total injuries. So the number of trampoline injuries from the table on page 307 was 107,345 over the total number of injuries, which is 903,887. Okay, now, do we really want to simplify this fraction? I don't. I don't think you do either. So instead of simplifying the fraction, this is where we would consider writing the probability as a decimal. So here, if I get out my handy dandy calculator, which I have my graphing calculator here. So if I turn my graphing calculator on, and I say, okay, if I do 107,345 divided by, let's darken this a little bit. It's still not showing up. Okay, so if I do 107,345 divided by 903,887, let's try this. There we go. Okay, so we get an answer of 0.1187593,139. So with probabilities, we usually round them to 4 decimal places. So 4 decimal places would make this approximately equal to 0.1188. So the probability of this event occurring would be approximately 0.1188. So again, round probabilities to 4 decimal places if necessary. All right. So this ends the second part of this lesson on basic probabilities. I will be posting your assignment tomorrow for you to work on. I will probably be doing a Google Meet on Thursday. I'll do virtual office hours. I'll post when I'll be doing those. So if you want to log in, have a conversation with me, be able to ask questions, do things like that, we'll go from there. All right. Well, thank you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.